Hi guys and welcome back to Yashi. Today with another inflation report. As some of you know, but not everybody knows, there are two reports every month that come out by the federal bureaus that show inflation from two different standpoints. One is the CPI report, Consumer Price Index, which shows the change in prices year over year. The second one is the one of today, which is the PCE report. The PCE focuses more on month-to-month changes. It still looks at data in a similar way as the CPI, but also has some different additions or subtractions, which can give a different point of view. As always, the Federal Reserve tends to look at inflation without considering food and gas prices, as these two are much more volatile and are not controlled by United States only, but more on a, let's say, global scale. However, we like to look at two of these as they can affect many other markets, especially when it comes to energy prices such as gasoline. Gasoline can affect the price of transportation and pretty much everything that comes with it, whether it is services, whether it is food, whether it is any kind of goods out there, they are affected by the cost of transportation. So let's get started here. Let me hit record. We gotta go up here. So month-over-month change in the past, let's say, month, because this report shows data from September as we are in October, is 0.4% compared to August. If you look at August, the same change happened, 0.4%, which means that inflation right now is sticky. Sticky means that it is not really moving a lot, which on one side could be seen as positive, on the other is still negative. Why? Because if you look at the year-over-year number, so inflation today compared to last year, we are at 3.4%. Again, we can see the match of 3.4% also in August. What does 3.4% mean? That if last year something was $100, today is $100, $103.4. This is a problem because the target of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, the guy that, let's say, controls the interest rates and the supply of money out there, wants to reach a target of 2%. And in order to do so, they need to play around with interest rates in terms of rising it and taking out the supply of money, which hurts the economy. We are a little bit under twice as much what the target of the Federal Reserve is, which is better compared to last year's 9% and 7%, but still extremely bad because it means that we're still not there and there's still a lot of work to do. What were, let's say, the main contributors of this? Before we go into this, let's look at the PCE excluding food and energy, which is higher than the 3.4%, which means that a lot of, let's say, the effect of food and prices is actually quite positive. It means that food and energy prices are slowing down their pace of inflation. Let's look at the data. Let's go to page number 8 right here. What has been affecting PCE? We know that durable goods have been increasing at a much higher rate compared to non-durable goods. Non-durable goods can be food, can be stuff that you buy, you finish up and you have to buy again. Durable goods is stuff you buy once. Durable goods can be cars. So we know that stuff like cars, stuff that you buy once and you keep for a longer time, is actually increasing at a faster pace compared to non-durable goods. We know that services are increasing at faster pace than some non-durable goods. Services is stuff that is non-physical. And America is a service-focused, let's say, economy compared to many others. China is more of a goods-based economy. America is not. So that can be problematic. What does the services mean? It means that we can probably see inflation also in the wages, wage growth and everything, which on one side is good for the people, on the other not really, because if you have more money to spend, you're going to spend more money and you're going to increase inflation. So it's interesting to see how that will develop in the future. Let's now look at the two factors that the Federal Reserve does not look at, which is food. Food has been increasing slightly. We're talking about, again, 0.3%, so a little bit lower than the general PCE, but still very close to it. And energy, as it also happened in August, and I feel like many of you noticed it if you look at the gas prices in August and September, has been increasing too. Now, with that said, let's look at some potential data that could give us some ideas about the forecast of next month, which is the October report. Remember that the reports always come 1 month later than the actual month they're reporting. We're going to start with gas prices. Many of you look at this report, you say, but gas prices haven't really gone up. They're actually going down. That is very true. If you look at gas prices compared to a month ago, they're down by 30 cents. A month ago, we're looking now at Virginia. $3.55. Today we're $3 and almost 30 cents, so 20 cents down. Why? Because we now have the winter blend. We're switching from summer blend to winter blend, which tends to be much cheaper because there's less additives that are needed to protect the gasoline in the summer. And secondly, we also notice on a more global scale that the demand for gasoline is going down. We're not traveling as much, we're not consuming as much. We saw this trend also last year, pretty much in the same period. It's cold, we tend to stay home for longer. At the same time, it's very interesting to watch because we have a war going now in the Middle East. It hasn't expanded enough to affect, let's say, the supply of oil, but it didn't really affect the global oil, let's say, price too much. Maybe just temporarily in the beginning, but it's starting to drop again. With that said, America doesn't really have an oil supply problem. It has more of a refining capacity problem. Of course, the politics of today decided to go against big oil. They're not investing into refining capacity, which has been the main, let's say, bottleneck issue when it comes to the supply of gasoline, not only oil. Now, what about food prices? There's one major factor that affected food prices in the whole world, which were the grain prices. Ukraine is in a war. Ukraine had an issue with transporting grain through the Black Sea because they're fearful of losing the ships and everything. So they're now striking a deal with Lithuania and Poland to transport through terrain. This should help the supply of grain, also give some more security, less volatility. We'll see how that will affect the grain prices in the future. Keep in mind that Ukraine is one of the main grain exporters for many countries in the world. With that said, what else are the issues of the PCE? Housing. One of the main factors that, let's say, affected inflation in the past 2 years is housing, whether it is the cost to own a house with the high interest rates and the high prices or to rent. I believe that to affect that, Federal Reserve can do little to nothing as it is a supply issue. The only thing that can be done there is more on a policy side from the different countries in incentivizing to build and helping out with permits. If you look at countries, cities like San Francisco and stuff, the main issues of those cities is there's a lot of space. The problem is that the county, the neighborhoods, the not in my backyard concept is pushing the idea of you should not build as much, even though building is much needed. Now, one very interesting thing that came out that I read, if I find the article, we'll put it right here while I talk, is that the new administration is supplying, let's say, a new project to help developers convert many of the commercial buildings into residential, which can help, on a logistical perspective, bring housing in some key areas where we have a lot of offices. Why is this happening? We're noticing that there is a large crisis among commercial investors because after COVID, the commercial space isn't really used as much anymore as people are working from home more and more. So you don't need full capacity all the time. You can have different schedules and have some people coming in and out, so you don't need as much office space. So when it comes to the rent for commercial space has been going down. And another issue is that many of these commercial loans update their interest rate every couple of years rather than the fixed term loans that we see in real estate with housing. And so as soon as the interest rates updates to the new interest rates of today, which are very high, we will notice that the rents that are dropping and the interest rates that are going higher cannot be sustainable for these investors. So a plan like this one that has been just released could be very interesting because it can help these investors transforming these commercial properties into housing, helping the community and helping this entire market niche, which is commercial, to actually remain and survive rather than go through an intense crash. Guys, this is all for now. Try to keep it as short as possible. Thank you for watching and see you on the next update. Thank you.